Hi, my name's Sarah and I'm from Maker Futures. And we are going to look at using hammers and nails today. We're going to start off with using some foam and some kind of plastic tools or wooden tools, just to start off kind of, improving those fine motor skills. So we're going to start off with introducing woodwork for younger years, and then we will actually move on to using real hammers, real nails, to create some lovely little pieces. Okay, so to introduce woodwork into your classroom, a really nice way of doing that is using foam instead of jumping straight into the harder material of wood, and to use some kind of plastic tools, or maybe some little wooden tools to get you started. It's a really nice activity that can develop fine motor skills and just help with that whole hand-eye coordination and build up confidence. I would definitely still be wearing goggles to do that, okay? So we've got some foam here, and it's a bit of it's squishy foam, okay? So it's not polystyrene. Polystyrene will create an absolute mess. So if you want to use polystyrene, go ahead and do that, but just be aware that it's very messy. Okay, so we've got a red plastic hammer here. And these are just from kind of, plastic toolkits. My son has got one. It's got a sawing hammer, pair of pliers, things like that. So there's loads of different types, variations that you can have. So I've got my foam, I've got my hammer, and instead of using a nail, I'm actually going to use a golf tee. And this here is a wooden golf tee. Sometimes they do snap, so just be careful with that, but you can get plastic golf tees and they will work just as well, okay? So what you can start to teach is being able to hold a nail and being able to hammer the nail into a material. Now, a good little way of remembering or teaching the children is kind of a little rhyme, okay? So what you can do is when you put nails in, you've got to, the nail has got to bite the material first, okay? So it's got to find its way in a little bit first, and then you're going to take your hand away, and then you can hit the nail with a bit of force, obviously, to get it into the material. So you're going to tap it first, then you're going to hammer it. So a little rhyme you can do is tap, tap, to tap, tap, and it's gone into the material, hammer, hammer, okay? So you're going to hold on to the nail first, tap, tap, to tap, tap, take your hand away, hammer, hammer, okay? And that's just a nice little way of remembering how to put nails in. You can use things like pegs to hold nails or pliers to hold nails, and that, it's absolutely fine. If you want to do that, that is fine. But in the end, it's a good practice for the children to hold the nail in their hands, okay? So you can use golf tees as nails. You can actually buy plastic screws and plastic nails. They come in the kit along with these kind of things, okay? And they will work exactly in the same way, okay? You can even get plastic screwdrivers, all right? So it's a really good way to teach construction. Plastic nuts and bolts, you probably will have to make a little hole first before you put that through. And you can even do some sawing of the foam as well, okay? So you can buy these little plastic saws and you can saw the foam. So that's a really, really nice little activity, and children absolutely love doing that. You can start to join pieces together with cocktail sticks. You can use skewers if you want to, obviously. They are both sharp, so it's careful, you need to be careful, and there needs to be constant monitoring when this is happening, okay? And you can start to build towers potentially, you can start to build vehicles, any kind of products really using the foam. you know, the golf tees, skewers, cocktail sticks, or even some of these different coloured little sticks here. So they can even tap it in and then join it to another piece if they want to. If you have the make do cardboard tools, they come with cardboard screws. The cardboard screws also work with the foam. And instead of using foam, you can use corrugated cardboard too. Obviously, the thicker the cardboard, the better, but it still works in exactly the same way. Right, we are going to look at hammer and nails, and we're going to look at using real hammers on some real wood now instead of the foam construction. So apron, goggles, absolute must for goggles, apron not such an essential, and we're going to set up our area first, okay? So here I've got a bench hook. This is traditionally used for sawing, but it's great for resting on when using hammer and nails, okay? So once again, if you've got your standard classroom table, put a tablecloth down, put some scrap wood down, put a bench hook on top, and then you're going to clamp the bench hook down so it doesn't move, okay? So I'm just going to do that now very quickly and try and get the bench hook out of the way as much as you can, so you've got a bit more work area, okay? It's a little bit not great on a round table, but we'll go with it, okay? Right, so I am going to use some different materials. In the types of wood video, I talk more about these materials, but I'm going to use a tree slice. It's really nice to create some kind of nail art, or put some screws in, some drill art, and we'll talk about that more in a second. It's nice to make some scrappy selfies on. It's kind of like a face shape. And this is a piece of balsa here, which is actually really light and really, it's not soft, but it is easy to put nails into. So they're kind of good things to get started with, okay? So I'm gonna put the tree slice onto the bench hook. Once again, if you've got room to actually clamp that down, I might just try that now very quickly. So I'm just gonna undo the clamp, and I'm gonna maybe just try and clamp everything together. So that way, the tree slice isn't moving, okay, so my wood isn't moving. It's attached to the bench hook, which is going to protect the table underneath, okay? So you can use the clout nails again, you can use different nails, but the same applies as the things we spoke about in the foam construction video, okay? So you're going to hold the nail, and you're gonna take the chub hammer, and you're going to go tap, 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 take it away, hammer, hammer, okay? And then obviously if it needs a bit more hammering, then absolutely go for it, okay? It's really, really important that children are aware that if they carry on hammering all the way down, then it's going to go through the material, it's going to go into the bench hook, and it's going to go into the table. And we don't want that. So a really good kind of awareness skill is to just, look at the thickness of the piece of wood and look how much nail is sticking out the top. So if you're going to hammer that and it's going down and down and down, it's going way too far. So be aware of the thickness of the wood, okay? And tap, 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 hand away, hammer, hammer. And it doesn't need to be hammered really, really far into the piece of wood. Right, this hammer is called a claw hammer, and this part of the hammer is used to remove nails. So it's really nice for children to understand that once they've constructed something, it's absolutely fine to deconstruct it. And it's good fun. and we can take those nails out, and you do it, you kind of turn the hammer upside down and you wedge the head of the nail in between the claws, and you use that lever action to pull the nail out, okay? So it's really good fun. Have a go at that. Okay, so some cool things you can do with hammers and nails is create some nail art, okay? So you can plan it out first if you want to, or just go for it. But once the nails are in, you can wrap some elastic bands around it if you want to, twist them round. You can use string. You can use wool, you can make some musical instruments if you want, you can use pipe cleaners, and just make some beautiful kind of nail art. If you look at our inspiration sheets on Woodwork, you will find lots and lots of ideas of creating some wonderful little products. You can make games, so I've seen people hammering golf tees in and balancing marbles on top of the golf tees, and making little catapult. There's lots and lots of little things you can do out there. Once you progress a little bit more, you can even make a pinball machine. So if you've got a large piece of wood, use hammer and nails and elastic bands to create the boundaries. Once again, if you look at those inspiration sheets, you will see pictures of those, okay? So elastic bands, different color elastic bands, wool, string, pipe cleaners. You can even put in nuts and bolts in here and have a little race. You can have a game where who's the quickest to put the nut down to the bottom of the bolt. Another little wonderful thing you can do, you can make something called a scrappy selfie. So you can use tree slices again, or you can use some plywood or some MDF or some pieces of pine. It doesn't really matter as long as you've got that background. And then you're using the nails and the hammer to attach things onto the surface. So these are just some little branches that have been cut up. You can use some wooden beads. You can use lolly sticks. You can use scrap pieces of plywood. You can use twigs. You can use little tree slices. You can create animals, kind of monsters, or just whatever you want. You can have a little bit of fun with it. Now, when you're using the nails to attach one kind of piece to another piece, when you're dealing with thin pieces like this, there's a very good chance when you're nailing or putting the nail through, you're going to split the wood. Now, there's two things you can do to try and stop that from happening. One of the things is to blunt the sharp end of the nail first. So turn the nail over, get your hammer, and just blunt the end of the nail. Now, it might not work, or it might work. Let's see and find out, okay? So if you're doing this, you're gonna do it very carefully, you're gonna do it very slowly. So you're just tap, tap, tapping, and eventually you'll be able to take it away and put it all the way through. And it hasn't split yet, which is absolutely marvelous. Another thing you can do is you can attach a piece of masking tape onto the surface and then use your nail and go through, okay? And the masking tape just prevents the splitting from happening. It doesn't work every time, but that's, you know, that's woodwork for you. Things are going to break, and it's a really good learning process for the children to go through, okay? Things aren't going to go perfect and right every single time. If it doesn't, we just go back and we try again, okay? So you can wrap some pipe cleaner around here if you want to make a smile. There are so many different things that you can do, and if you let the children have a little bit of freedom, they come up with absolutely wonderful things that I would never think of, but work absolutely magically. So have a bit of fun creating some scrappy selfies or some animals or some monsters, or create a game or some nail art. Have a go and have some fun. Okay, so now you can get started using some hammers and some nails, and you can create some scrappy selfies if you want to, or you could do some nail art using some string or wool. Don't forget about using buttons as well, and have some fun.